Hey everyone, John Henry here from School of Trade. Today we're going to be taking a look at a wave pattern long here on gold. Let me get my targets in place here. 1209.9 is the first one. 7, we'll go, yeah, it's right there. That's perfect anyway. And then we'll lock our second target down there as well. So 1211.5 is the second target. First target coming off at 1209.9. Now, this wave pattern is a little bit kind of funky. It is setting up really, really nicely. Let me turn off the trade notes here. So looking at the setup itself, you'll notice the initial trigger zone that we normally like to come into was a bounce right there. And if you entered in there, you're still okay. Maybe you got stopped out, maybe you didn't. But the way that it's setting up is this just came in a little bit funky. There was a lot of downward pressure that came in right here. So you really don't want to buy smack in the face of big strength, right? That's usually a big no-no. So instead of doing that, what we wanted to do was just wait to see if it gave us a little bit of a better setup. And essentially what we're seeing now is a second test of that low, and then we're bouncing right back out again. So we're seeing that reconfirmation that the buyers are in fact coming in the trigger zone. So if you did buy this one, you're still okay. We really didn't go down very far, but it's not really recommended when you see that much strength, just come in all at once back down against you. It's kind of like catching a falling knife, if you will. So waiting for that little bit of extra oomph that we were kind of, hoping for. We're waiting for a nice little bounce higher, and now we're entered in long here at 1208.5. So the first target coming out at 1209.9, then we're looking for a nice move up to 1211.5. So just potential movement that we're seeing here with a nice wave to the upside and wanting to take off just like normal, kind of 2 and 2. The way that the day has been is pretty range bound, so it's hard to expect a huge runner. Right, we're just not seeing that kind of moving. We're just kind of rotating back and forth from the high and the low. So because of that, I'm not going to look for a massive target on the upside. I'm just going to take everything off at 11.5, and we'll play it a little bit more conservatively. Now, because it is a little bit more range bound, and it's kind of bouncy, if you will, where we're kind of ricocheting back and forth off the highs, I don't necessarily want to move my stop to break even too soon either, because chances are we're going to get something like this where the wave pattern initially goes to your first target, comes back, whips everyone out, and then goes back up again just like you thought it would. So because of that, I'm going to leave my stop down here at 1207.5 where it is. And if it wants to continue, then we'll give it room to do that. But if it wants to come back, then we'll add on a little bit of extra risk just to give it the room that it needs to potentially pull back and then continue back up again. So right now, from our entry, 1208.5 to the first target, we're getting in at 14 ticks for the first target. Now we're taking 2 off there, so 28. And then the second target up at 1211.5, we're taking off 30. So it'll be another 60. So if we can get this one going, we've got a potential of putting away 88 ticks on the trade. It's a nice little move. So we'll give it a little bit of time here. It is pretty early. It's only 7:30, so it might take a little bit of time for this to get going. But again, once we get that first target at 1209.9, we'll leave our stop where it is at 7.5, and we'll just kind of give it the room that it's probably going to need, and then look for that final target up at 11.5. So we'll be back in a little bit and see if we can hit those targets. All right, we got our first target taken out here. Now, again, just like we were talking about before, I'm not going to move my stop too early. There's a really, really good chance that this is going to want to come back a little bit first, which is what we're seeing right now. There's folks like me and other folks who are taking profit off at this level, so it's not a surprise to see it ricochet a little bit. But this is what we've seen over and over and over again this whole morning where, it comes near the highs, would hit that first target, bounces back, stops everyone out who goes to break even, and then rips right back up to the upside. Want to avoid a situation like that. So we're going to leave our stop back ways. That is adding a little excess risk. That's leaving basically 20 ticks on the table. So if this does come back on us, we just locked in 2 off at 14, so it gives us 28. We at least stand a chance to make $80 on the trade, pretty much guaranteed at this point. So it's not a bad place to be, but I definitely want to give this one a little bit more room, especially given the time of day and just the way that the market's been moving so far this morning. But outside of that, stop is down at 1207.5. Once we break through this high at 1210.4, we should be good to move our stop to break even. But until that point, we're just looking for possible pullback here, otherwise looking for a push back up to the highs to 1211.5. All right, we're back. Kind of a funky little move right there. First off, let's kind of look at the trade that went really, really fast. But this is exactly what we were concerned about, this little pullback right here. All right, you push up, you hit that first target without much of a problem, and just like we expected, it's going to come back, stop everyone out of break even, and then go ripping up to the upside. The one interesting thing that happened, if you look at the timestamps on the bottom, 8:05:12 hits, and then 8:05:13, okay? So pay attention to that. 8:05:13 13, 13, 13, 13. You'll notice all of this happened in the exact same second. That's a really, really big chunk of orders that just came in right there. Whatever the reason was, we got our target filled. So I mean, we did get our target filled, but the way that it moved, there's a lot of weirdness going on here. So we're out of the trade, which is perfectly fine, but definitely some funkiness going on in gold today. We might see a little bit kind of an interesting day today if this volume keeps up like this. But overall, we got our targets taken out at 30 as well as 14. It's a good thing we left our stop back. It was definitely a smart play in that case. And the nice thing is, in a situation like this where you locked in 14 on the first one, even if it does stop you out all the way back, you still pull out 8 ticks on both contracts, so you're still up a little bit, right? You're not giving back a huge amount, but at the same time, it gives it room to breathe. And when it came back like this and then bounced right back out, that kind of confirmed that fear that we had. So beautiful, beautiful wave pattern. A little bit of a delayed entry just for that extra confirmation that was pretty bearish coming into that trigger zone. But when they failed, the sellers failed, and it bounced right back up again. Picture perfect entry, right back up into an easy first target, barely any problems there. Second target was a little bit harder, a little bit more discretionary. If you went to break even, hey, you still locked in 28 ticks. Not too bad. But outside of that, we locked in 88 ticks on the trade, $880 on kind of some funky price action. Everything happened in 1 second here. So that's going to be the trade. If you have any questions about it, feel free to send an email to School of Trade. Don't forget to check out our trial at schooloftrade.com. And as always, we'll catch you next time.